Everything you think you know about Gucci Mane is a lie. Because the day Hopsin walked into that all-white room and saw a full human-shaped Gucci bodysuit hanging from the ceiling, that was the moment the clone theory stopped being a joke. The industry didn't fix Gucci in prison, they replaced him. And once you hear what really went down behind those doors, you'll never look at today's Gucci the same way again. It all started around the time Illmind 5 blew up. The song was huge, and after it dropped, people behind the scenes told me I had crossed a line. They said I had shared too much truth, and that kind of message would mess with the mindset they were trying to build in society. Then things got even darker. They warned me that if I didn't follow a list of instructions, they would hurt my family and the people I cared about most. They ordered me to come to an office on Wilshire Boulevard in Los Angeles. When I asked what they wanted me to do, they refused to explain anything over the phone. When I finally walked into the building, the air felt wrong from the start. They didn't take me to a waiting room or an office with desks and paperwork like I expected. Instead, they guided me down a long, quiet hallway that echoed with every step. The place smelled like bleach, and the walls were so clean they looked unreal, almost like a movie set. Then they opened a door and pushed me inside. The room was plain, completely white from floor to ceiling. No windows, no pictures, no furniture except one metal chair placed right in the center like they'd been expecting me. It felt less like an office and more like a laboratory. The whole space carried this strange, sterile silence, like the walls themselves were listening. I sat down, unsure what was coming next. I kept asking myself why they wanted me here, and why they refused to explain anything on the phone. My stomach felt twisted, but before I could say anything, one of the guys in the room walked over to another door tucked into the corner. He didn't say a word. He just opened it slowly, like he was revealing something important. And that's when I saw it. Hanging in that little side room was a full Gucci box. Not clothes, not a costume, a whole bodysuit shaped like a man. Skin tone, tattoos, face, everything. It looked disturbingly real, like something pulled straight out of a sci-fi movie. I froze. My mouth dropped open. It felt like every muscle in my body shut down at once. I remember whispering, "No, no, don't tell me this is what I think it is." They didn't hesitate. They didn't try to soften the blow or laugh it off. One of them said, with the coldest straight face, "Yeah, it's exactly what you think it is." My heart dropped. I couldn't believe it. It was like my brain refused to accept what my eyes were seeing. A whole Gucci Mane body molded, detailed, perfectly built, hanging there like an empty version of him. The idea that someone could wear that, walk around in it, and pretend to be him, it didn't even seem possible. Until that moment. I backed up against the wall and kept shaking my head. "No, please," I said. "This can't be real." But they didn't blink. They stood there waiting, like this was normal, like people had done it before. And that's when everything clicked in my mind. The Gucci we see today, the clean-cut Gucci, the super-fit Gucci, the quiet, polite, always on schedule Gucci, that wasn't the same man who went to prison. Everyone online joked about clones, about body doubles, about the government replacing people. But seeing that suit, that's when it hit me. The Gucci, walking around out here, that's not the real Gucci Mane. The voice, the demeanor, the sudden transformation, the entire personality shift, it all started to make too much sense. And when you look back at the old Gucci versus the new one, the difference is night and day. The old Gucci was chaotic, reckless, loud, unpredictable. The new one, polished, controlled, scripted, like someone was playing a role perfectly. Standing in that white room, it felt like I was staring at the truth the internet had been joking about for years. They told me I'd need to cooperate, that there were things I needed to do, and that refusing wasn't an option. They made it clear that they weren't asking, they were instructing. And the threat behind their words was sharp. If I didn't play along, the people I loved would pay for it. My mind was spinning. I kept thinking about all the strange things happening in the industry. Celebrities disappearing for weeks and coming back acting different. Musicians suddenly changing their personalities overnight. Artists looking physically altered in ways that didn't add up. And here I was, being shown a bodysuit of a whole human being, being told to become someone else. I thought back to the rumors online, how people said Gucci's wife acted like a handler, guiding him through interviews, guarding him from old friends, keeping his life tightly controlled, his ex-girlfriend saying that's not him. Fans pointing out how the new Gucci avoided people he grew up with because they would know instantly. At the time, it sounded like wild conspiracy talk. But standing there looking at that bodysuit, it didn't feel like a conspiracy anymore, it felt real. the guy who opened the door finally stepped aside, giving me a full view of the suit again. He looked at me like he was waiting for me to accept it, waiting for me to understand that I wasn't supposed to question anything, just follow instructions. And in that moment, I felt something shift. I realized this wasn't just about Gucci. This wasn't just about me. This was bigger, a system designed to control, replace, and manipulate public figures whenever it suited them. The Gucci we got back after prison wasn't a comeback story, it was a swap, a switch, a replacement. And I knew right then that once you see behind the curtain, there's no going back. Once you realize the person the world thinks is Gucci Mane might not be Gucci at all, everything changes. That day, in that all-white room, with that bodysuit hanging in front of me, I learned the truth. Sometimes, the people you think you're watching aren't people at all. They're puppets. They're replacements. They're masks worn by someone else entirely. And the real Gucci, he might be gone forever. There's something strange happening behind the scenes, something nobody wants to say out loud. I'm not claiming to know every detail, but the more you look at the pieces, the harder it is to ignore. Cloning, body doubles, replacements, people treat it like a joke. But honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if it's real. The technology exists. Governments have experimented with far wilder things. So why wouldn't the industry have access to it too? And the more I think about it, the more one thing stands out to me. The Gucci Mane we see today is not the same man who went into prison. It's not just the weight loss, or the sudden fitness, or the new personality. It's everything: the voice, the confidence, the way he moves, the way he acts like a completely different human being. In my opinion, the real Gucci Mane didn't survive prison. Something happened behind those walls. Something nobody is ever going to tell the public. And when he didn't come out, someone else did. Someone meant to play the role. That idea sounded crazy to most people, until Hopsin came forward. Hopsin recently broke his silence and shared what he claims is the truth behind the whole Gucci Mane clone theory. And his version is darker than anything the streets have whispered. According to him, Gucci didn't walk out of prison transformed. He walked out replaced. Hopsin explained that the man who returned wasn't just healthier or calmer. He was new, like someone learning to act like Gucci, not someone who was Gucci. When you hear Hopsin talk, when you connect it to the sudden switch, the missing old energy, and the perfectly polished new personality, the story takes on a whole different light. It stops sounding like a rumor and starts sounding like a cover-up. But to understand how wild this story gets, you have to look back at the years before everything changed. In the early 2010s, Gucci was spiraling hard. He was beefing with everyone: Nicki Minaj, Waka Flocka, Yo Gotti, Birdman, even members of his own crew. He was drinking heavy, popping pills, catching cases, fighting charges, just reckless all around. Then in 2014, it crashed down. He got hit with a federal gun charge after Atlanta police arrested him for swinging at officers while carrying weapons and substances. They gave him 3 years and 3 months. But he ended up doing about 2 because of good behavior. That's when things got weird. When Gucci walked out in 2016, fans almost didn't recognize him. The man who went in was bloated, slurring, always high. The man who came out was slim, sharp, sober, smiling, built like he'd been in a fitness commercial. His voice changed. His interviews were calm. His whole vibe flipped. The internet exploded. Reddit, blogs, YouTube, everyone started saying the same thing. That's not him. Gucci Mane got cloned in prison. Then his ex-girlfriend Mac Breezy added fuel to the fire. She said straight up that the man walking around today isn't the Gucci she knew. She claimed his eyes, his speech, his energy, all different. She said the real Gucci was killed in prison and replaced by a trained lookalike. She even said that Gucci's wife, Kishia Kaur, blocked her from getting close to him, like she was guarding the secret and making sure no one noticed the switch. And then Nicki Minaj jumped in and made the conspiracy blow up again. She said Keshia was only around Gucci to keep him sedated and under control. She even accused her of trying to imitate her. At that point, the rumors weren't just whispers anymore. They were everywhere. And honestly, the streets had been paying attention for a long time. Fans noticed how Keisha runs every corner of Gucci's life. She manages his social media, schedules his appearances, handles his bookings. People swear the man moves on a perfect, robotic routine because of her. Gucci tried to shut the rumors down himself. He posted a long message saying he had grown, matured, lost weight, changed his mindset, changed his circle, and was simply becoming a better version of himself. He said he loved who he used to be, loved who he is now, and loved the person he grew into. That speech should have calmed things down, but it didn't. The hood wasn't sold. They said, the old Gucci couldn't even talk like that. This dude sounds like he's reading a script. And just when things were finally starting to cool off, Hopsin jumped on IG Live and blew everything wide open again. He claimed industry elites forced him into becoming Gucci's clone. According to him, everything started around the release of Ill Mind 5. The song was huge, and he said powerful people told him he had put too much truth out there. Truth that could mess with their plans for society. They claimed he needed to pay for it. Hopsin said they threatened his family if he didn't follow their orders. They told him to come to an office on Wilshire Boulevard in Los Angeles. He asked what they wanted him to do, and they refused to say anything over the phone. When he arrived, they put him in an all-white room. Then they opened a door, and inside was a full Gucci bodysuit. Hopsin said he stared at it and begged them not to make him do what he thought they were about to do. They simply replied, "Yeah, it's exactly what you think it is, pal." People laughed at the time and said it was just Hopsin trolling, but years later, with how strange the industry has been acting, that joke feels more like a real confession disguised as comedy. And if you think the clone talk stops with Gucci, you haven't been paying attention. Hollywood has been full of weird switches lately. Take Kanye West. Before disappearing for weeks, Kanye literally said, "If I disappear and come back, that won't be me. They wanted to medicate me every day. They could have changed my meds and I'd be gone, and the news would just blame mental health." 2 weeks later, he reappeared completely changed, clean-shaven.com, and suddenly married to Bianca overnight. Fans said his voice was different, his body language robotic, his interviews strangely quiet and controlled. People started comparing clips and saying it looked like someone pressed the reset button on him. Even his interactions with paparazzi felt scripted, overly polite, overly calm, like someone was coaching him in the background. And it wasn't just fans noticing patterns. The same handler theory people used for Gucci's wife got tied to Kanye's ex, Harley Pasternak, the same guy who threatened to get Kanye locked up and reprogrammed if he didn't fall in line. With all these stories stacking up, people started wondering if Hopsin's wild confession wasn't so wild after all. When people started digging into Harley Pasternak's background, things got even stranger. Turns out, before Hollywood ever knew his name, he worked for the Canadian military studying how drugs and psychological conditioning can change human behavior. He even admitted he had access to substances regular researchers couldn't touch because the military wasn't bound by the same rules. So while people thought he was just a celebrity trainer, his real experience ran way deeper into performance-altering drugs, psychological influence, and behavioral control. That's exactly why folks got uncomfortable when Kanye claimed Harley tried to put him on heavy doses of lithium, the same medication people say was used on Britney Spears and even Michael Jackson. And we all saw what happened to them. It wasn't therapy, it was sedation. Kanye said he was exhausted, misdiagnosed, and pushed toward medication he didn't want. When he asked how much lithium they planned to give him, he said it took them 4 days to respond because they were embarrassed by the dosage. Kanye claimed, "If I had taken that medication, I wouldn't be here. They would have said I died from mental issues." Same pattern. New name, Gucci, Britney, Kanye, all tied to the same web of control, medication, and sudden personality shifts. So when you put the pieces together, Gucci going into prison wild and coming out looking like a whole different man, his ex saying that isn't him, his wife acting like a handler, Hopsin claiming he was forced into a Gucci bodysuit, Kanye warning the world about disappearing and coming back not himself. The picture gets too weird to just brush off. Online. People call it conspiracy, but the timing is suspicious. The similarities line up too perfectly, and Hollywood stays moving strange. It might be the only place where somebody can walk in the door one person, come out the door someone else entirely, and everybody claps like it's a heroic comeback. But the streets ain't clapping. They're saying this isn't a comeback, it's a cover dash up. One commenter wrote, "The real Gucci died in prison. His cellmate even tried to expose it, and he ended up dead too." Another person pointed out that Gucci's ex-girlfriend knew him longer than anyone, and she said straight up, "That is not him." People also say the so-called clone never visits Gucci's old family or childhood friends, because they'd spot the difference instantly. And in interviews, folks swear Kashia has to whisper his answers, like she's guiding him through every sentence. So now, the big question is, what really happened behind those prison walls? And if Gucci was swapped, how many other artists in this industry are walking around as replacements? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And stay tuned because this story isn't even close to finished. If you think this was wild, click the next video and go even deeper.